one decision away from a completely different life. And that decision isn't waiting for next month. It's not waiting for you to feel ready. It's not waiting for confidence or clarity or permission from the world. It's waiting for you right now. Because there's a moment, an invisible crack in time, where your future hangs in the balance. It's only 10 seconds long. But in that 10 seconds, everything changes. It's the difference between standing still or breaking through, between continuing a life of hesitation or becoming unstoppable. This is the science of action. And it's brutal, it's beautiful, it's raw. Because life doesn't reward you for what you think. It rewards you for what you do. Every dream you've shelved, every idea you've buried, every moment you told yourself, not now. That is the battlefield. And it doesn't matter how brilliant you are. If you don't move, you lose, period. Let's be clear. The problem is never your potential. It's your pause. You don't lack talent. You've just trained your nervous system to delay. You've been conditioned by a world that rewards procrastination with comfort and punishes action with fear. But you're not here for comfort. You're here to rise. 10 seconds. That's the window. That's your portal. That's the moment your brain starts to sabotage the exact thing your heart is trying to create. You know this feeling. You've felt it 1,000 times. The idea comes. The impulse hits. You feel the fire flicker. But instead of acting, you hesitate. And in that hesitation, your brain does its job. It talks you out of greatness. It sells you on smallness. It reminds you of every failure you've ever tasted and every fear you've ever fed. But what if you could interrupt that moment? What if you could break the cycle before it begins? This is where science kicks in. Your brain is a survival machine. Its job is not to make you successful. It's to keep you safe. And safety means sameness. It doesn't care if you hate your job, your habits, or your life. It only cares that it's familiar. It only cares that you survive the next 5 minutes. But greatness, that's not found in survival. That's found in disruption. You have to beat the brain at its own game. You have to move before the voice of fear gets the mic. Because here's the truth most people don't want to hear. You don't need more time. You don't need more motivation. You need 10 seconds of courageous action. That's it. 10 seconds to send the message. 10 seconds to walk away. 10 seconds to hit the record. 10 seconds to sign up, speak up, or stand up. And once you move, once you start, everything changes. Action isn't a reward for confidence. Action is what creates confidence. Think of Edison. Do you think he felt ready the 2,000th time he failed? Or did he just move? Think of Lincoln. You think defeat stopped him? Or did it refine him? Walt Disney. Fired for lacking imagination. Do you think he waited for external validation? No. He built a kingdom from the ashes of rejection. Because they understood the secret. You can't think your way into greatness. You act your way there. That's what this is about. It's about winning the moment. The tiny, silent, invisible war between action and apathy. And the battlefield is your biology. Your brain sends fear. Your heart sends the impulse. And your soul is screaming for you to move before your mind shuts the door. So you have a choice. Do you keep negotiating with fear, or do you interrupt it? It starts with discipline, but not the kind you think. Not rigid routines or color-coded calendars. I'm talking about the discipline of momentum. The choice to move forward before the fear sets in. This is a discipline of seconds. The discipline of now. Because motion changes emotion, and movement breeds momentum. You don't wait for belief. You build it. You don't wait for clarity. You create it in motion. You don't wait for motivation. You manufacture it by showing up again and again, especially when you don't feel like it. This is why most people stay stuck. They believe the myth that action follows emotion. But the truth is emotion follows action. You act tired long enough, you feel tired. You act bold long enough, you become bold. You act like someone who respects their vision, and eventually your mind and body fall in line. But you must lead. You must override the default settings of doubt. Because the world isn't going to hand you your mission. It's not going to whisper your worth. You decide. And you move. And when you do, something changes on a cellular level. You're no longer a prisoner of your past. You become a creator of your future. Let me ask you something. When did you stop trusting your inner fire? Was it the moment someone laughed at your dream? Was it when you failed and the world reminded you how small you were? Was it when comfort became more addictive than growth? Because the truth is, most people die long before they're buried. They bury their voice, they bury their vision. They bury their potential under layers of what if, and not yet, and I'm not enough, but not you. You're not here to rehearse regret. You're here to rise. You're here to move. You're here to ignite something ancient inside of you that remembers who you were before the world told you who to be. And it only takes 10 seconds. You see, there's a version of you that already exists on the other side of action. Not a fantasy version, not a someday self, but a real, tangible force of nature that is buried under hesitation, fear, and the opinions of people who will never pay your bills or live your life. And the only way to meet that version is to stop thinking and start moving. Because when you move, even imperfectly, you interrupt the algorithm of mediocrity. You send a signal to your nervous system that says, we're not waiting anymore. We're not waiting for applause. We're not waiting for certainty. We're not waiting for the stars to align. We're choosing to become. 10 seconds is all it takes to say, I go now, not tomorrow, not later, not when you feel brave now. That is how you build an unshakable identity. Not with affirmations taped to a mirror, not with vision boards that gather dust, but with evidence. Because your mind believes what you prove to it. You want to be disciplined. Show your brain discipline in action. You want to feel powerful. Show your brain you're no longer a slave to delay. You want to stop feeling stuck? Start breaking patterns with tiny defiance. 10 seconds of defiance against every excuse that's kept you in the waiting room of life. Do you know what the most successful people in history mastered? They didn't master timing. They mastered starting. They had the same fear, the same doubt, the same self-sabotage triggers, but they didn't make the boss. They made the boss. When Carnegie faced bankruptcy, he moved. When Oprah was told she'd never make it on television, she moved. When Elon Musk was laughed out of boardrooms, he moved. When Mel Robbins was on the edge of losing everything, she hit the button. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and she moved. And that small mechanical action interrupted the cycle of paralysis. That is not motivation. That is the mechanism. It's not a mood. It's a method. And here's the wild part. Once you start using it, your identity shifts. You stop identifying as someone who hesitates. You become the kind of person who moves before the excuses can land. That's what you're here to learn. Because you are not your thoughts. You are the one who chooses which thought to obey. Fear will always talk first, but action gets the final word. And every time you honor the instinct to act before fear steals the mic, you add a brick to the foundation of your unstoppable self. This is what builds legacy, not luck, not talent, but the compound interest of 10-second windows of courage. Think about that. Your future isn't built in years. It's built in seconds. Seconds where you decide to change direction. Seconds where you say no to patterns and yes to purpose. Seconds where you do the thing even though your voice shakes, your palms sweat, your knees buckle. Because growth doesn't feel like power at first. It feels like resistance. Like a muscle tearing in the gym before it rebuilds stronger. Like a plane fighting drag before it breaks the sound barrier. And you will feel that resistance, that tension, that primal urge to stay the same. But at that moment, you choose. And that choice is the most powerful force on earth. It is more powerful than genetics, more powerful than talent, more powerful than any excuse or limitation the world tries to wrap around your neck. It's the power to say, this is who I'm becoming, whether I feel ready or not. And once you've tasted it, really tasted it, you can never go back, because now you know too much. You've seen what happens when you move. You've felt the shift. You've heard the old self scream as it starts to die. And you've realized something extraordinary. You don't have to kill your fear. You just have to stop obeying it, because fear is a liar dressed in logic. It will hand you 1,000 reasons to wait, to plan, to pause. But action doesn't need a reason. It just needs you to decide this is where it all begins. Not in a seminar, not in a podcast, not in a book, but in this second. The second you choose to do what your future self needs, not what your current self feels like. And when you start stacking those seconds, something sacred happens. Your reality bends. Your environment reshapes. Your posture changes. Your energy shifts. People start noticing something different. You're not talking like before. You're not asking for permission. You're walking with purpose, because you've crossed over from waiting to creating. And it all began within 10 seconds. 10 seconds of decision. 10 seconds of motion. 10 seconds where you stopped thinking and started becoming. Now let me ask you, what are you waiting to do? What dream are you watching die one delayed moment at a time? What phone call haven't you made? What boundary haven't you set? What project haven't you launched? Because whatever it is, the only thing standing between you and it is the lie that you need more time. You don't. You need 10 seconds. And the guts to use them. Look around you. Every breakthrough, every invention, every empire that ever changed the world started in a moment just like this. Not a perfect moment. A messy, inconvenient, vulnerable moment where someone decided to act while everyone else was still waiting. 10 seconds of courage. That's the difference between a life you tolerated and a life you own. Because this world doesn't move for those who wait. It moves for those who lead. And leadership doesn't start on a stage. It starts in the mirror. It starts when you say to yourself, I will no longer abandon my greatness to make comfort feel safe. You are not average. That's not humility, it's betrayal. You were born with a fire that has survived every storm, every lie, every detour that tried to convince you to shrink. But here's what they didn't tell you. You don't find your power in peace. You find it in pressure. You don't unlock your potential by running from fear. You grow by facing it, feeling it, and moving anyway. Because your purpose is buried beneath the exact thing you're scared to do. So do it. Do it while your hands tremble and your voice cracks. Do it before your mind comes up with reasons not to. Do it because your soul is suffocating under the weight of your silence. Do it because there are people, millions of people, who will never unlock their potential unless you go first. That's the calling. That's the weight of responsibility that comes with the gift of vision. Because once you see what's possible, once you glimpse the life that's yours for the taking, you don't get to go back to pretending you're powerless. You don't get to sit in the shadows and call it strategy. You don't get to numb your purpose with business and blame. You move. And every time you do, you silence the voice of every person who told you weren't enough. Every time you do, you rewrite the script your past tried to assign you. Every time you do, you build proof. Proof that you are not your fear. You are not your failures. You are not your doubt, your delay, or your default mode. You are the force that decides what's next. Not your childhood, not your bank account, not your broken past. You. And when you live like that, when you operate from that level of self-trust of relentless forward motion, your entire energy changes. You become magnetic, not because you chase people or beg for opportunities, but because you move with such certainty that the world has no choice but to make room for you. Because you are done waiting. You are done outsourcing your destiny. You are done treating your dreams like side projects. This is your moment. The door is open. The seconds are counting down. And the version of you that's been waiting in the wings, they are not going to wait forever. They are screaming to be born. Not next year. Not when you feel more confident. Now, because all it takes is one act of defiance, one spark of movement, one decision that says, I will not die with this potential inside me. That's your power. And it lives inside 10 seconds. 10 seconds of insane, unreasonable, undeniable action. So count down, 5, 4, 30, 20, 11, move. And don't look back.